Hello, my name is Sue Lewis and I'm going to take you through this presentation. So this is about a Career Pilot Pathway Planner. So Career Pilot Pathway Planner is a way to actually match personal guidance to the needs of individual students through using triage. So it's all about Gatsby 8 and also contributes to Gatsby 3 about meeting individual needs. And Career Pilot developed the Pathway Planner through funding from the Careers and Enterprise Company. We bid for funding in 2018 and then we piloted in 2019-20, and now the Pathway Plan is available to roll out to schools and colleges. So what I'm going to do in this webinar is actually explain the model that we've been piloting with 6 schools. That will include showing some feedback from our users, and then I'll tell you how you can get access to the Pathway Planner. So just to explain Career Pilot is a suite of web tools. I haven't got time to run through these today, but we have got a whole series of other webinars where you can find out about Career Pilot. So Career Pilot is a whole suite of tools aimed at students, parents, advisors, so they can get the right information and support in order to ensure the students get good quality careers information and become managers of their own careers. So we have a student zone, a reporting zone, an advisor and a parent zone. So Pathway Planner has been integrated into Career Pilot. So a lot of it appears in the student zone and then the reports can be viewed through the reporting zone. So do you need to be a Career Pilot user if you're going to be able to access the Pathway Planner? So just to explain, in the South of England region, which covers 6 Uni Connect projects, Career Pilot is free to access, and it's free to access because 20 universities and 6 Uni Connects pay subscriptions. Even in our area, you still have to pay a small subscription for the Pathway Planner. And currently we're offering that as a one-off cost in our region for £250, and that offer stops on January the 31st. If you're not in our region, you do have to pay subscriptions for Career Pilot, and you have to pay an annual subscription for the Career Pilot Pathway Planner of £250. If you're in one of these Uni Connect areas, some of these Uni Connects are supporting schools in paying that one-off cost, so do get in touch if that's of interest to you. We have got different versions, a version for schools that we piloted last year that you can use with 11, 12 and 13, and we've also now got a college version as well. So I'm just going to show you some of the relevant bits of Career Pilot that feed into the Pathway Planner. I haven't got time to go through the whole site. So this is Career Pilot. It is open access, so anybody across the country can use this part of the site. But if you're a subscriber, then you get students to sign in, which they do here, and then they get access to the career tools. And the career tools enable them to personalise their choices as they're using the site. So they can find a job they like and add it to their career tools, or a qualification, or a provider, or do one of our quizzes and save their results here. So for the students, it's all about helping them put a report together that shows all the choices that are particularly interesting to them, and they can keep adapting and changing this as their career develops. That information populates the reporting zone, and if you get access to Pathway Planner, that will appear here as one of the career tools the students can use. You can also access our advisor zone or parent zone from here, and in Career Pilot we're all career advisors behind the system. We wanted to offer students a sort of 3-stage process that helps them think about planning their careers. So we've got start with you, explore your options, plan your next steps. And a lot of our resources are structured under these 3 sections. So the first of which is start with you. So there's activities for every year group, quizzes to get them started, start with the subject, see where it might lead. Do our skills map, popular tools for helping students recognise they have a lot of skills already, or qualification planner where they can look on a ladder and plot their route. Explore your options, they can do that in a range of ways, by age, or by looking at jobs or courses, apprenticeship vacancies, providers. We have over 1,000 video stories in the site, all linked into jobs and qualifications. And then how you use that information to plan your next steps. You can download the report, you use your skills map results, and as you're going through you can be writing your action points. So we encourage all students to do that at the end of a Career Pilot session. So it's all about helping them to move their career on. So that works towards a report, as I mentioned, and even before we had the pathway planner, we always used the report from the students showing their choices to prepare for guidance. So that was a good way to find out what the students were already interested in, and that helped to prepare for Gatsby 8 and showed that we're meeting individual needs. So the report could be quite detailed. You can also write your advisor report straight onto the site, so it's visible to the student, and any other staff members can access that student. And that report moves up every year. So on August the 31st we save a snapshot, but they've always got their live report, so they could have lots of reports if they started using Career Palette in Year 7, for example. We've also got a little summary dashboard as well that pulls in different top line information. So when we bid to the Careers and Enterprise Company, it was under a funding stream related to Gatsby 8, and we had to show that our bid met the requirements of Gatsby 8 to have a one-to-one careers interview before they were 16, and another one by the age of 18. We also had to show how our bid met with the criteria of effective guidance. So there's a Careers and Enterprise Company research report called Personal Guidance, What Works, and these are the principles of good quality guidance. So our bid and our model very much fits with these principles. So this is the model that we're piloting and is now ready for rollout. We wanted to try out a whole school approach to personal guidance using triage. So this is a model we tried in 6 schools with 60 Year 11s and 40 Year 12s, and those pilot schools now rolling it out right across their year groups. So it starts with what we call our pre-guidance session, preparation for your option choices. Now we know schools do all sorts of things to prepare students for option choices, but in this 1 hour session in an IT room, there's a structured presentation that makes sure they understand all the next stage options available to them. They then get some time to play on Career Pilot, to look at the options they're interested in. Then they do the pathway planner, which takes about 10 minutes at the end of the session. And now we're going to ask them which of the pathways they're interested in, having spent a whole hour talking about them. And then they're through a quiz format. They are asked some questions, and that gives them a red, amber, green score to show how ready they are for their pathways. That data is then available to the careers leader and the guidance advisor, and those results can be used to target personal guidance at 3 different levels according to red, amber, green. Then Career Pilot can be used through guidance. The report can be recorded on Career Pilot, and then 4 weeks after guidance we trained the tutors to do a 5-minute follow-up with each of their tutees, asking 3 questions, and then if they're worried about them they could actually flip them back into other guidance. So wrapped around this individual guidance, we also had 1 lunchtime a week of drop-in, e-guidance, students could ask a question online, and self-referral or tutor referral, and all this can be recorded on the system. So I'm just going to run you through those different stages of the process so you can see how it works. So the pre-guidance 1 hour structured session, which is all about their options, and then at the end of that they're going to do the pathway planner. So I'm not going to run you through the whole presentations, but just to give you a flavour, we've actually designed the presentations for schools to use. They can adapt them if they want to. This is the Year 12 one. So this would start with an activity, quick thing like this. Which of these values drive you? And they can think of their top 3. And the reason for doing that is to get across that if you know what drives you, that can really help you think about a course or career that might suit you. We've also got a video which is an introduction to how they can become managers of their own careers. So it's an animation, takes about 3 minutes. We developed this through our bid, but it's now freely available. And we say, you know, these are the things for you to think about. Knowing yourself, know your motivations and interests, do stuff to build your CV and your skills, know all your options, and use your supporters. And then we're going to go through those stages and show them what they can do. Know yourself, well, we've got a whole section called Start With Your Own Career Pilot, so they could do some of these particular activities, and we would direct them to the ones that would be useful. This is a Year 12 session. Do stuff. Well, we know their prime focus is A-levels and B-Techs, but you know they might be doing other things, which obviously is tricky at the time of COVID, but there are other things they could be doing, like online courses or whatever. And we would say, don't drop those, you know, keep them going because they're going to look great in your CV. And know all your options. So that's the focus of this 1 hour structured session we're doing today. And then we would show them the levels, the pathways, where they are currently, what's ahead of them, how all pathways could lead to a degree if they choose that option, but where they're going to be making decisions today. They're moving from 2 to 3 or level 3 to 4. And then we go through each of the pathways on offer to them through little quiz formats, just trying to get the main information across. So this is one asking whether you need a degree or apprenticeship to become a nurse, and you could use either. Dentist, just the one, and solicitor, 2 options. So trying to make the point that you have to find out whether an apprenticeship even exists in what you want to do, and then you have to find an apprenticeship, like finding a job. So we go through each of the pathways, explaining in summary terms what they need to think about with each of the pathways available to them. Then they'll have some time on Career Pilot to explore, and we'll direct them towards particular things, so they get about 30 minutes. And they can be tagging the things they're interested in as they use the site generally anyway. Then we're going to explain about the Pathway Planner. So the Pathway Planner is a way to find out how ready they are for their pathway, so we can offer them the support they need to make a successful transition. So if you're a Pathway Planner school, it'll appear here. And this is the one for post-16 students, year 12, 13. So it shows the pathways that they have available to them at 18. So they can indicate whether they're definite, considering or not doing. And then for each one they're definite or considering, they could do our quiz. And the quiz asks them questions really to find out how ready they are for that pathway. This is about university level study. I know what course subject I want to apply for. I want to go to university, but the cost is putting me off. And the responses they give have been given a scoring, which is at the back end. They don't see that. That indicates whether they need additional support. So the students get a red, amber, green score. This student is interested in university level study. They're definite about that, but then amber, which would indicate there's some gaps in their knowledge that's going to hold them back from making an informed decision. They're red for apprenticeships, so they're only considering that, so there's obviously quite a few gaps there. What we do when we allocate guidance, we look at the definite pathway in the main and run by with that one. If they have a lot of just considering no definite pathway, then we'll give them additional guidance because they haven't got a definite idea yet. So every student's going to get some sort of guidance. We don't necessarily tell them it's all going to be different levels because this is Gatsby 8. And in our model, the 3 different levels of guidance were as follows. If they were green, they got a 20-minute check of their plan. But if they weren't as ready for their progression as they thought they might be, or this had showed, then they could be flipped back into a drop-in session if they needed more. 30 minutes for amber, and 60 minutes if they were red for a definite pathway, or if they had additional needs, or if they're thinking about apprenticeships or college as a definite pathway, because those pathways are quite complicated. So that was the student area. It's quite quick for the students to do, but it does give us loads of data as staff that we can use when we're allocating guidance. So I'm showing you now our reporting zone. So if you're a Pathway Planner school, this will be switched on for you, and you can see the results and bookings. So if you click there, with this dashboard you can see quite a lot by a group. So a group could be defined as a tutor group or a year group. You have to set those up. Then you can actually see what pathways your students are interested in and how ready they are. So if year 11 had done it, it would be here, but this group have just done it post 16. You can also tag additional needs. So this student 3002 will get the maximum guidance irrespective of what they said. But having said that, they are considering 3 options. They probably need that additional support. The student at the top, sample 3000, they're considering 2 pathways. One they know quite a lot about, university level study. The other one is employment. That's a tricky pathway currently with COVID. So I think we would give them a 30-minute amber session because they're not firm about any particular pathway. So you allocate the guidance according to what the students are saying. You might use other data too, like grades that you know about. So it's not just about the Pathway Planner, but it certainly gets you started. There's also various actions you can undertake against each student. And from here you can actually see if you've got any guidance booked for the student. If it's pink, it's been done. If it's green, it's coming up. So I'm just going to show you some of the actions. So you can view their answers. So that would be useful to find out what the particular blocks were for that student. Really useful if you're a careers advisor to find that out. You can view a timeline, which I'm going to show you in a minute. You can book guidance for the student through the system, so it's all recorded. At the end of guidance, you can do a one-liner about where the students are leaving guidance, what pathway they're interested in, maybe even what subjects they're going to do. The tutors can follow up on the system, and you can also write the advisor comments, which is essentially the report straight onto the system. So if you want to book, it's quite simple to do. You can identify what you call that in your school. So it might be come to room 305 for a careers session with Miss Lewis or whatever it might be. Put the date and time, and you can identify what sort of guidance you're providing. So it could be long, medium, check-in. It could be a drop-in, self-referral, student tutor referral, e-guidance. I'm just showing you the times. Schools have flexed that a little bit according to their needs. If you've got lots of bookings, then you could do various things. You can download that and show it to other people, or just download for the day. You can actually sort your list by student alphabetically, or by date, or type of guidance. You can also add did not attend, and that will appear on the student's timeline as well. It's quite useful really for them to be aware of that. This is the timeline I mentioned a few times. So this is a way of seeing where the students were when they did the pathway planner on a particular date. So you can see on 28th of November, this student was essentially 2 reds and number. Then they had a long guidance session, and at the end of that guidance session, they are asked to edit their pathway planner answers, and you can see now they're green and amber. So this is a way of showing evidence of the student progressing to be in a good position to make their decisions and progression, but also about your interventions. So then you've got lots of information in the pathway planner that's really going to help with our guidance session. So the guidance advisor and the careers leader have got the report of all this all the choices young people are interested in, pathway planner results, and also the answers to the questions. So we find as careers advisors, this makes our job much easier because we know an awful lot more about the student before they come to us, and we'll also know that they've been introduced to all their option choices. As one advisor said, normally I say 200 times about the option choices with year 11. Now I know that they've had that session, I can actually just focus much more individually on their needs. At the end of guidance, you can record your guidance report onto Career Pilot and any actions you agree with the student. And then in our model, 3 or 4 weeks after guidance, we trained the tutors, which took about 20 minutes to train them, to ask 3 questions, and if they were at all concerned, they could pop the student into guidance. So the 3 questions were literally these. Asking the student, are you clear about which pathway you're interested in? How are you getting on with your actions? Do you feel you have the information you need to move on in your chosen pathway? And if they hadn't quite got their actions together, that might not be a big deal. But if they were still worried about their pathways and didn't have a clear idea, then the tutor can feed them back into guidance. It might just be a drop-in. It's not necessarily another whole hour. You can also, as I said, do a little one-liner after guidance. So this is me as an advisor. It's not visible to the student, saying, okay, they seem to be quite definite about A-levels. I've talked to them, they're interested in maths and English, and there's little drop downs, so you could say firm, lightly, or borderline for the grades. And you could put another pathway on too if there's 2 that they're still thinking about. Tutors can indicate when they've done the follow-up and just say where they think that person needs additional guidance. And all these are visible through reports. We're also really keen to know the impact of these 3 different levels of guidance on the students. So we had different questionnaires depending on whether they'd done green, amber, red. Same questions, but they did the one relative to the guidance they received. And you can see there's not much difference between them finding it useful. Out of 5 for green, they said 4.4, amber 4.4, and 4.6 for red. So for most students, it worked really well. We also asked them about the timing of the guidance session, whether it met their needs, and you could see for more than 80% it did. There were some students who wanted a bit longer, sometimes the reds, even though they'd had a whole hour. But you could put them back into a drop-in, so you could still meet their needs. So it does, in a way, achieve Gatsby 8+, because it gives them the guidance they need, rather than just sticking with the 2 requirements that Gatsby set out. We have lots of really great feedback from our pilot schools, from careers advisors, and leadership team and the students as well. And what they say is that really help them to strategically plan how they do guidance, because it could sometimes just be down to the tutor referring somebody, but also picked up on students they thought were sorted, but when they looked at the results they realised that some of those students just weren't really sorted at all and were really worried. So those, that is a great way to actually target support of those students you might have missed. So if you're interested in the Pathway Planner, you can have access to it because it's available now to roll out to schools. There is a small cost for it. If you're in our geographical area, there's a one-off cost which is only available to January 31st, and that's £250 for a school and £400 for a college. If you're outside our free-to-use area, then you have to pay an annual subscription, £250 for a school, £400 for a college. You will also need to have access to Career Pilot, and an annual subscription for a school is £450. Just so you know our geographical area, it covers 6 UniConnect projects, going down from Study Hire, which is in the Buckinghamshire area, and Sun, which is in the south, then all the way down to the Isle of Scillies. If you're in that area, Career Pilot is free to use, and you just pay this one-off cost for the Pathway Planner if you sign up by January 31st. When you sign up, you'll get asked, you will be required to come to a 2-hour training session, because that will give you access to all the lesson plans. We'll switch on the Pathway Planner for you, and you'll get access to the reporting zone, and also become member of a Pathway Planner user group. So you'll be involved in trying to take the tool further and develop new things that might really help students and you to use the site. If you want to find out more about the Pathway Planner, in our advisor zone, which is the top left of the home page, there's a whole tile, we call them, about the Pathway Planner. So listening to this webinar isn't you signing up for the Pathway Planner. If you want to sign up, then you need to go to the advisor zone, and then in the tile called Pathway Planner, right towards the bottom, you can actually sign up, and it'll ask you which training session you want to come on and how you want to pay. And just a reminder, if you're in some of our UniConnect areas, they might be offering some support with your costs on this. The next training dates are the 28th of January and the 4th of February. So these are 2-hour sessions, about 2¼ hours in reality, and that would be all about helping you set everything up. If you want to know more about Career Pilot, I've hardly mentioned the whole Career Pilot site and all the things on offer there. We do offer free training for schools and colleges. There's a programme of free webinars that you can sign up for if you're interested. So if you have any questions, you can also always send them to the helpline. The helpline is available from 9 till 3 every day in term time, and that's careerpilot@bath.ac.uk, all the telephone numbers there as well. So thank you so much for coming along, and do get in touch if you would like to sign up for the Pathway Planner.